I
Sorry,
and so now I'm showing women how they can go out and find adventure and new experiences in their everyday life. And as women, we often wake up one day and go, oh, snap, I've given my whole life to everybody else and I don't know who I am or what I like. So if I can show you how to look for adventure or find adventures or take little baby steps to get out of your comfort zone and start discovering what you like and what you want and help you find new passions, that's the goal.
And that's probably exactly what I needed in 2011 is somebody to help guide me through that process. I didn't have anyone and I kind of had to take those baby steps by myself. So you are you help I know that you are starting a group that
Mm-hmm.
will support women on this journey of rediscovery. These women who are stuck and they want to change their lives. Are you also working one-on-one? I didn't ask you.
I'm not. We're
Okay.
having the online membership group to provide, community encouragement, accountability, and personal growth, but I don't do one-on-one work.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, let's step back to when you did the experiment of doing the 26
Mhm.
adventures in 52 weeks. What year was that?
2016.
Okay, all right. So not too long ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, 2016.
2015.
2015. Okay, we got it.
I screwed up every time.
I hear you. Yeah. So you got to a point where you were feeling like life was stuck and boring, or what prompted this?
A secret Santa list. So, the list that you have to fill out that's like, I like this food, and this is my favorite this, and this is my favorite that. And so I was teaching school at the time, and we got the secret Santa list. I couldn't fill it out. I didn't know because
Oh,
everything on the list, like what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Where do you like to go eat? Everything revolved around my children or my then husband. There was nothing there was no part of me in there. And I couldn't fill out the daggone form. And I remember sitting at my desk and crying
wow.
because it was so depressing to realize I was 39, so it's about to turn 40. No, that's not right. I did the math wrong again. I was 42.
Oh my gosh, that's how old I was.
So I was 42. My marriage was shaky. I had this job that I'd gone back to school for, and some days I loved it and some days I didn't. And it was, I was a special ed teacher, so, it was very demanding. My kids are getting older. I had one who's, one in high school, one in middle school, and I'm like, I have no life of my own. I've done
Yeah.
everything for everybody for so long. So at the time, I was like, okay, I have to do something about this. So my sister had a website, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write a blog about this. And I'm going to go find things. And so I was like, how often should I do things? Because everybody asks, where does the number 26 come from? Well, once a week was too much. I didn't want to say twice a month, because if I do 3 things in 1 month and 1 things in another month, then that kind of screws that up. So I said, okay, I'll do 26. That's 1 every 2 weeks. But if I do, maybe something includes 3 adventures in a weekend. Maybe I go a couple weeks without an adventure. And at the time, I will admit, I had grand plans. But what I discovered along the way was sometimes those little things are the best adventures. I did have some over the next 3 years, especially before I opened the co-working space, I had some grand adventures, but there are also some tiny ones that are on my list that most people would be like, really, Carrie? Like, I remember one of the things on my first list is my first Uber ride. But I clearly remember the conversation I had with the driver. And I'd never done such a thing. I remember, my husband going, you're going to just take a taxi. I'm like, no, I've downloaded the app and I'm going to take an Uber. And he's like, you think you're alive? Because I was going to meet him. He'd already gone down to Fort Lauderdale, and I was going to meet him, and he's like, okay, well, let me know what you get. Let me text me when you get there, and text me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. But it became an adventure. And a lot of times it's how you look at things. And my children and I have a phrase that goes, it's not an adventure unless you make a U-turn. And that started because they would get upset when they were little and I had to make a U-turn. So now now they know that when things don't go right, like, okay, things aren't going the way we planned. We're going to turn it into an adventure. We're going to make a U-turn and we're going to fix it and it's going to be great. And it's just looking at life like that has really, really dramatically changed me and my life. And that I want to share, because there's too much negativity and people. And sometimes, talking about the group, you were talking about wanting somebody because you were alone and to help you with the adventures. I had the problem that I got pushback from home. Why did I want to go do things? Why was I doing things differently? Why would I want to go take this class? Why this? Why that? So I was getting a lot of pushback as to why I would want to grow personally, why I would want to not do things the way things were always done. And so I think, people need support for a couple of reasons. One, because they don't want to do things, they do feel alone and they want somebody along the journey. And the other reason is because the people around them may not be ready to grow themselves and may not understand why they are trying to grow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So many people around me, like when I was going through that year, there was a lot of shifting and changing of relationships, and you change as a person. And for me, I started to find my voice for the first time, my like real authentic voice, and start speaking up for myself and what I wanted and what I needed. And so that causes a lot of shifts,
We learn to say no. We learn to set boundaries. We learn to speak our values. We become more confident, and we become more confident when we know who we are truly.
And the support of having a group like that you're doing is going to really be helpful for people in that way, because when you are going through this growth process, just knowing that you're part of something and that other people agree with what you're doing, really can help give you that strength to take the next step. I was going to share with you that one of the first adventures I did on that year was to go to a fashion show. I love fashion, obviously. No, I love fashion, always have since I was a teenager. And I'd always thought, oh, how cool it would be to go to a fashion show. And then when this happened and I started the experiment, one of the things that I did like you is I started saying yes to opportunities and yes to things. And this fashion show came up in the next town over. So I was really nervous, to do it, but I said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to back down. I can remember getting dressed and being like, oh. And I did it. I got myself to go. And I actually, that's one of the first scenes in the book I wrote, because I ended up writing a book about that year, but the fashion show and one of the first adventures. So, but tell me and tell us about some of the adventures that you've shared with other women on this journey in the last 4 or 5 years. What does it look like, kind of?
Golly, the last 4 or 5 years, I have been crazy. Which ones have I done with other people, or which ones do I just tell people about, or all the above?
Yeah, whatever. Oh, and let me also break in and reintroduce you for people who are joining us a little bit late. This is Kiri Elizabeth Rawson, and she is the owner and founder of 26 Adventures and Me, which is a company that supports women in rediscovering and reimagining and recreating themselves in their lives through adventure and becoming more adventurous. And we are talking about an experiment she did in 2015, where she did 26 adventures in 52 weeks. And as a result of that, she's now helping other women become adventurous. And she's about to tell us a little bit about some of the adventures she's gone on since then. Or, yeah.
So, that first year involved a lot of things locally. It involved going to free concerts or going to see improv for the first time, or some things I did by myself. I think I took a single dance class because I just wanted to try it. I was so uncomfortable going, and I was still uncomfortable when I left, and I didn't go back. But you know what? I stayed and I took that one dance class. It includes, like I told you, on my first Uber ride. Then later in the year, I got a little more adventurous, and there was a band that I'd wanted to see back in the 80s. And they had gotten back together, and they were performing in their hometown up in Pennsylvania. So I went up to Pennsylvania by myself for the weekend and went to this concert. And it was so good because they played for hours and hours in this little theater with 700 people. I did not talk to another soul that weekend because I was, except for like when I checked into the hotel, I sat at the bar and had dinner at Applebee's because I still wasn't comfortable going, like, striking up a conversation with people. Like I would have great intentions to do that, and that's okay. You have to do what you're comfortable with. And now since then, it's gotten a little better. There's still times I get out of practice. My biggest adventure was going to Rome for a week by myself, which was wonderful.
Was that during that year or after?
That was that was 2 years. That was 2017.
Within a year or two of me finishing that adventure, I went to Paris.
Okay.
By myself.
Mm-hmm. So I continue to keep a list. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, towards the end of the year, and I'll be like, okay, what can I count as an adventure? So it's an ever evolving list, but it could include, it's all sorts of things. Like I said, one of the things was, I got divorced, and one of the things was learning to date again.
That is an adventure.
That was a lot of adventures. I didn't count them all, but I did count one or two. But it's just like, big things, little things. Like you said, saying yes to opportunities. I found a place that I volunteer at, and I volunteer at Christmas time, and I give them all of my time for almost 3 weeks to a local charity to do their Christmas presents for children and sorting all the toys. And I've discovered, that was something that was like, okay, let's go try this. Like, they say they need volunteers. I don't know anybody there, but I'll go hand out school supplies. Well, school supplies turned into me sorting pots and pans, turned to me doing a senior project, which turned to me being like the lead volunteer for the last 3 years of this big Christmas program where we hand out toys to almost 1,000 children, and literally sorting through all these toys and giving them 3 weeks. But I found that I love to do that. I found that that brings me great joy, and that's a passion of mine, is Mission Lexington here and the programs that they do to support children. If I hadn't of, gone out and actively looked for, and that's one thing I do actively look for things to do in my community. A lot of times I hear people say, well, I don't have the money. You don't have to have the money. There are plenty of things you can do for free or for low cost. You can find places to volunteer. There are free concerts. You can go to parks. You can go look at public art. There's so many things. So that's one of my pet peeves. I'm like, it doesn't take money to go find adventure or to go try new experiences, because it's almost as much new experiences as anything else.
So you're finding that sometimes women, like, they know they're stuck, they know they're bored, but their mind almost gets in the way because things will come up and opportunities will come up and they'll say no for this reason and no for that reason and no. And so you actually help women break through that mindset, or that, those thoughts that come up that stop you from taking the adventure and going on the adventure.
Exactly. We are our own worst enemy a lot of times. I mean, I myself will get my own damn way any day if I let myself. And almost one of the reasons why I have 26 adventures in me is because I need 26 adventures in me, and I need the accountability of the people who follow me on Instagram, or now the people in my new membership group. I need that accountability and that community and that inspiration, because if I know that if I don't continue to look for new experiences, I'm going to get stuck again. And I don't ever want to be stuck again. So, but you have to continue to grow. It's not a one and done thing. We have to continue to grow as people. And I think too many people in this world stop growing.
Well, that brings up something that I was thinking about. One of my core values is alignment. And so it sounds like to me that at a certain point you wanted to, without even maybe even knowing it, but you wanted to get more in line with who you really were. And you started to get into alignment with your true self. And is that, and then people around you, had to kind of get to know the new you, and some of them fell away. Is that what happened with the divorce?
No, it was already,
The writing was on the wall.
the writing was on the wall. I would have stayed in an unhappy marriage for years because it was what I thought I was supposed to do. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, we did, and we did it amicably, and it could have been ugly. And I'm very proud of the fact that my ex-husband and I get along so well. Our kids are now 21 and almost 18, and we still all have a family chat and we communicate regularly. And that's important. And that's important to me. And I think one of the reasons why I could do that and why I could provide that relationship with my children so they don't see their father and I fight. One of the reasons why I was able to do that is because and I've never thought about this before, but till now, is because I was comfortable at that point in time in who I was. I started the 26 adventures before we ever separated and before we divorced. So I was already figuring out who I was before that happened. And so when it happened, I was very much more aligned with who I was and what I wanted in life. And so I was okay with it. It was tolerable. I was able to better work through the issues, let's put it that way. And I wasn't some bitter old hag or some bitter ex-wife or somebody who's going to talk, and I'm not saying there aren't reasons for that at all, but knowing who I was and being confident that, okay, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and this is who I am going to be, whether the world likes it or not, I'm okay. Because if you don't want to come along for the ride,
that's right.
Train has left the station, and now I joke, I came with a warning label. If you choose to ignore the warning label, it's not my fault.
I never heard that before. I love that. Oh my God. Yeah, I come with a warning label, people. If you choose to ignore it, that's at your own peril.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I have told you who I am.
Yeah.
If that surprises you, not my fault.
Yeah, but that being in alignment is so powerful. It helped you move right through that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're actually helping other women to become more aligned with their true selves. So That is so amazing and so powerful. Um, Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in South Carolina and how that played into this.
Golly. Yeah, so I grew up here in the town I live in now. We moved here when I was 7, and so it's where I went to high school. I lived at home and went to the University of South Carolina. Um, and then I got married, and I thought we were going to move overseas. And something happened, and we wound up staying here. It's been great. We chose to raise our children here, but you know, it's been interesting to see how my little town is no longer a little town and how it's grown, and but yet it's still a small town in some places. And I love South Carolina because I'm 2 hours from the beach, and I'm 2 hours from the mountains. I'm 2 hours from Charlotte. I'm 3 hours from Atlanta. I can go all sorts of places.
So it's actually the perfect place to be for your adventures.
It really is, because I mean, especially in the pandemic, people are like, well, I'm just sitting at home. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit at home. I can go find things to do that are safe.
Oh, yeah, that's how I was during the pandemic.
I mean, there are things I can go do to save. I can drive to Charleston and walk around the Battery and be just fine.
I was out in nature every other day.
So, and again, and it's free.
That's right.
So yeah, South Carolina is an interesting little place. It has its pros and its cons, but I'm a fan.
Perfect center of the universe. Yeah, I'm in the perfect center of the universe at the moment too. I'm like halfway between Fort Myers and halfway between Naples, which are the bigger towns, and I'm able, like, everything is like right around me. It's like 2 minutes from the highway. It's like the perfect location for adventures. You go, guys, gotta love it. But let's talk a little bit about this group that you're putting together.
Yes.
It's called
Club 26.
Yes.
Because I want it to be like a girls, like the old, like we made forts when we were little, and we had little clubs. And so it's a club to come and be around other women who want to also take 26 adventures and have what I call a playful journey of personal growth and self-discovery, because it's supposed to be fun. Life should be fun. This should all be fun. So it's going to be a private network. It's going to be on Mighty Network, so we don't have all the distractions of Facebook. We're going to work on building the ultimate bucket list. So each week we're going to have what I call a quest for zest, where you get to, this week I was testing it with some people. And so this week's topic was to list festivals and parades you would like to go see. And so, but think, your bucket list, not just as a list of cities you want to go visit, but experiences you want to have, things you want to make with your own 2 hands, birthday parties you want to give yourself, places you want to see, festivals you want to see, people you want to meet, those kind of things. We're going to have bi-weekly Zoom calls to just connect with people one-on-one, or in small groups, and get to know each other. Everybody has their own adventure log, so you get to show people what you're doing, and we're going to encourage them to go take pictures. Each month they'll have a different challenge to go do and post about, and it's a place where we can cheer people on. Or if you're getting stuck and you're scared, you're like, okay, I said I'm going to go to this yoga class on Friday. Then we can come back and say, okay, you're going to the yoga class today. Isn't that great? And go back and check on them again too. We're going to do, like I said,
that would be so fun to have someone say that. To have someone say, oh, I know you're going to the yoga class today. We're cheering you on.
I went to Pilates for the first time last week, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
So, we're going to have, so the monthly things, we call them playful pursuits, and then there'll be some compact crusades or some mini challenges built in there. Each month we'll have a different personal growth topic, because, we got to get a little bit of education in there, but it's also, looking back at your experiences and looking back at your adventures. What did you learn from them? How does it bring you into alignment? Are you living within your values? So yes, so I'm looking at the list. So we'll have the Zoom calls, we get to celebrate together. We're going to build that ultimate bucket list. There's going to be some destination guides, because sometimes it would be nice to have information or inspiration. Maybe you didn't know that Asheville has this, that, or the other thing, or maybe you didn't know that Naples, Florida has something. Maybe somebody, if we have a city one week, somebody else can make recommendations. If you're going to go to a city, hey, who's been to Naples? What should I stop and see that I wouldn't normally stop and see? Those kind of things.
Here, I think there, I think there should be prizes. I want to bring the competition in there. Who has the most adventures? Or,
There probably will be.
You have to prove it too that they did it.
There will be. There'll be some of those kind of things. Maybe not all the not big prizes, but no. I'm a girl who loves a good celebration or a good prize.
Win a mug,
Yeah, win a T-shirt. I have to have some T-shirts. Win a T-shirt. Maybe who posts the silliest picture that month. Not necessarily who does the most or the biggest, but whatever we'll have, and that will be within that monthly challenge. Maybe have a bingo card of different, have a bingo card of different local adventures that they can do, and who can first one to complete their bingo card, or creativity. We challenges around art projects, or this week I painted ladybug rocks.
Yay!
Well, so that's the group. So we're it is currently open for founding members, and we're going to close the doors on the 31st of July and actually start the group on the 1st, so I can get that first group nice and settled and figure out exactly what they need and cater to them for a while. And
they get to know each other.
And like I said, figure out what exact support they need. Like, I have a plan and I think I know what support they need, but if they need something different, I'm a little flexible. Okay, I'm a lot flexible, and I'll adjust it to what they need, because what I think they need may be a little different. So we'll adjust it, and then we'll open it back up eventually in the fall. But that first group of founding members is going to get lots of extra attention, and I already have members in it who are excited to get going, and it's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like so much fun. It sounds like such a fun thing to do. And the founding members get a special price, right? If they join before August 1st.
Yes. So there are two options. They can get a lifetime membership for $397. So no matter what I raise the price to, they're in forever. Or they can join for $37 a month and do it monthly. And then the price will go up. The lifetime offer won't be available again. This is the only time it'll be available. And then the monthly price will go up once we're settled and open the doors again later in the fall.
So they really should join, before August 1st, because then it's going to be a couple months before you open the doors again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get, like I said, they get extra special attention and save money.
Yes. So it sounds really fun. How can they find this group?
Sure.
It's Club 26.
Right. So the best way to find me is you find the website, Instagram, Facebook, and it's all the same. It is the number 26 adventuresandme.com, or just 26 Adventures and Me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me that way. And if you want more information specifically about Club 26, DM me and I will send you the information directly. Because the information's on the website, but one day I'll have a staff to make it all pretty.
So
it's still a work in progress. I'd much rather go on adventures than build a website.
So if you want to get in touch with Kiri, you can do it through Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or go to her website, which is 26adventuresandme.com.
Yep.
And that's 26adventuresandme.com.
Yes.
And you can connect with Kiri, and she will help support you on recreating your life and reimagining your life. So I just want to acknowledge you for the work you're doing in the world, Kiri, and helping to make, women become fearless and free and strong and confident. So thank you so much for doing what you do and being a part of Over 40 Fearless and Free. We love having you as a member. And thank you for this conversation. It was
Yes.
super fun. And I'm definitely going to connect again and talk about some of the adventurous ideas we have in common. So you'll hear
Thank you
from
for having me tonight. This has been good.
Yes, thank you so much. And everybody, get in touch with Kiri and consider joining Club 26 to start moving forward and having some fun.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Kiri. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.